March 1st, 1932, a windy night in Hopewell, New Jersey. In the second-story nursery of a world-famous aviator, a window is left open. A child is gone. The only things left behind? A muddy footprint, a broken wooden ladder, and a ransom note demanding $50,000. It was a crime that broke the heart of a nation and started a manhunt that would span across the globe. But in the shadows of the Lindbergh estate, did the real kidnapper leave more than just a ladder?
A crime so shocking it was dubbed the crime of the century. Journalist H.L. Mencken really captured the mood with this unforgettable quote.
And the victim? Well, he was the son of a true American hero, Charles Lindbergh.
So how did this whole thing start? Well, it all began on one cold New Jersey night.
On March 1st, 1932, sometime in the evening, the unthinkable happened.
The kidnapper left behind some chilling clues, a ransom note, a ladder, and just an empty crib. And the price for the baby's return? $50,000. A fortune back then.
The note itself was really strange. Police figured the kidnapper was probably German.
Once word got out, a massive search kicked off. The entire country was glued to this story.
And I mean, everyone got involved. Even President Hoover and, get this, Al Capone. Then this retired school teacher, John Condon, steps up and volunteers to be the go-between. After some cryptic letters, he met a man who called himself John in a cemetery.
So, on April 2nd, the family handed over the 50 grand, just praying for their son back.
They were told the boy was on a boat called the Nellie, but it was just a heartbreaking lie. Then, over 2 months later, a truck driver made a truly horrifying discovery. Little Charles Jr.'s body was found not far from his home. This wasn't a kidnapping anymore. For 2 whole years, nothing. The case went cold. Then, one tiny clue changed everything.
See, the feds had tracked the ransom money, and a marked bill finally led them to their guy.
And sure enough, they found over $14,000 of that money stashed in his garage.
The suspect's arrest kicked off what the media, again, was calling the trial of the century.
And the evidence just kept piling up. It was all circumstantial, but wow, it was powerful.
He insisted he was innocent, but he was found guilty. The media called him the most hated man in the world. But the story doesn't end there. The case had a huge impact that changed American law for good. It led directly to the Lindbergh Law, which made kidnapping a federal crime for the first time.
So, a man was executed, but was he really guilty? Or was he working with someone? Questions still linger.
The investigation was a labyrinth of marked bills and forensic wood analysis. Every piece of the ladder was traced back to a single lumberyard, leading to the doorstep of a German immigrant. Yet, even with an execution, the questions remain. Was it a lone wolf or an inside job disguised by the chaos of the night? Let's trace the forensic evidence that sent a man to the electric chair and see if the truth was buried with him.
Today, we're cracking open the case file on a crime that absolutely terrified a nation, the Lindbergh kidnapping. It's a story where, honestly, the questions left behind are even more haunting than the crime itself. Okay, let's just jump right into the big, glaring questions that even today don't have good answers. I mean, how does a total stranger find the exact location of the nursery on a night when the family's actually home and then climb up a janky, broken ladder without making a sound? It doesn't add up, and that leads you to the most chilling question of all. What if the kidnapper wasn't a stranger at all? What if they were someone much, much closer to home? All right, let's go back. It's March 1st, 1932. A rainy, miserable night. Charles Lindbergh, the most famous pilot in the world, an absolute American hero, is at home with his family. But what he doesn't know is that a personal tragedy is about to unfold that will completely overshadow his fame and throw his entire world into a living nightmare. So just look at this timeline for a second. We're talking about a window of just 2.5 hours. That's it. A 20-month-old baby just disappears from what everyone thought was a safe home. And then there's this detail. Around 9:30, Lindbergh hears this loud noise. He thinks, maybe something fell in the kitchen. But investigators, they later had a much darker theory. They believe that was the sound of the homemade ladder breaking. And maybe, just maybe, the sound of the child falling with it. And right there, on the windowsill, they find the first clue, a ransom note. But it's weird. It's full of spelling mistakes and really bad grammar. Right away, police start thinking the kidnapper might be German. And just like that, with this one single piece of paper, a massive nationwide manhunt is on. And the demand? $50,000.
Now, that might not sound like a crazy amount today, but back in 1932, that was a staggering amount of money. We're talking well over $1 million in today's money. This wasn't just some crime anymore. The press immediately knew what they had on their hands, and they called it the crime of the century. So the investigation, it was huge. I mean, everybody got involved. We're talking President Hoover, the FBI, even Al Capone, the famous mob boss, offered to help find the kid from his jail cell. But after all that chaos, it all came down to two things: some clever forensic science and a money trail that would lead them to just one guy. And here's the thing, right? The kidnapper's own greed is what ended up tripping him up. See, the ransom was paid in these things called gold certificates, and the government was about to recall them, which meant they'd stick out like a sore thumb. For 2 whole years, nothing. The guy was a ghost. But then he starts spending the money. And every time he used one of those marked bills, it was like leaving a breadcrumb for the police to follow, a trail that led them straight to him. Sure enough, they trace one of those bills to a guy named Bruno Richard Hauptmann. And when they search his garage, boom, they find over $14,000 of the ransom money just stashed away. Hauptmann's story was that, it belonged to his buddy, a guy named Isidor Fisch, who'd conveniently gone back to Germany and died. It was a neat little story, but yeah, the cops weren't buying. Okay, so the money was a big deal. But there was another piece of evidence, something left right at the crime scene, in the mud. It was this rickety homemade ladder. And this one object, it would become the absolute key, the linchpin of the whole case against Hauptmann. And this is where things get really fascinating, because forensics for the 1930s gets put under a microscope. A wood expert, this guy Arthur Kohler, does something pretty incredible. He analyzes the wood from the ladder, piece by piece, and he manages to trace one specific rail, rail 16, back to a missing floorboard in Hauptmann's attic. I mean, think about that. For that era, this was groundbreaking stuff. It created a direct physical link. It basically put Hauptmann right there at the Lindbergh house. So it sounds like an open and shut case, right? Money in the garage, wood from the attic, case closed. Well, not so fast. Because once you start digging, you find all these weird inconsistencies, strange behavior, a lot of questions that just don't go away. And for decades, they've made people wonder, did they really get the right guy or the only guy? And here's maybe the biggest puzzle of all. The whole point was the ransom money, right? But the autopsy showed that the baby died from a massive skull fracture, probably the very night he was kidnapped. Remember that sound of the ladder breaking? So why? Why go through this whole elaborate 2-month-long negotiation for the ransom if the child was already dead? It makes absolutely no sense. It's not just the evidence that's weird, though. You have to look at Charles Lindbergh himself. His behavior through all of this was, well, it was strange. He wasn't acting like a typical grieving father. Instead, he took control of the investigation, sometimes even clashing with the police. And then there's this. As soon as the baby's body was identified, he had it cremated immediately, which you have to admit is odd, because that completely destroyed any chance for a second autopsy or further investigation. Why would you do that? This kind of stoic, almost cold reaction, it led people down some pretty dark rabbit holes. The wildest theory? That Lindbergh himself was involved. That maybe he was playing a prank on the family, trying to show them how bad security was, and he accidentally dropped and killed his own son, and that the whole kidnapping was just a massive cover-up. Now, to be clear, there's zero hard evidence for this, and the family always denied it fiercely. But the theory just, it won't die. So, with the money, the handwriting on the notes, and especially that damning wood evidence, New Jersey prosecutors felt they had their man. They thought it was a slam dunk. And the trial that followed, it was an absolute media circus. The whole world was watching. And through it all, Bruno Hauptmann insisted he was innocent. He never wavered right up to the very end. But it didn't matter. The jury found him guilty on all counts. That forensic evidence, especially that piece of wood from his attic, it was just too powerful to overlook. The public, of course, had already made up its mind. The media painted him as the most hated man in the world. He was a German immigrant. The victim was America's golden boy. He didn't stand a chance. And in April of 1936, Bruno Richard Hauptmann was executed in the electric chair. And this is why the case is so much bigger than just one horrible crime. The public was so outraged, so terrified, that it actually changed the law. Congress passed what became known as the Lindbergh Law. It made kidnapping a federal crime and gave the FBI the power to investigate, which fundamentally changed how law enforcement works in America to this day. So officially, the Lindbergh case is closed. But is it really? Hauptmann was convicted, but so many questions remain. Like, was there an accomplice? Could one man really have pulled all this off alone? So what do you think? Was Hauptmann a cold-blooded killer who got what he deserved? Or was he just a scapegoat, a pawn in a much darker conspiracy? It's been almost 100 years, and we're left to wonder. Do you believe in the justice that was served? Or do you believe the real truth is lost somewhere in the cracks of history?
The Lindbergh case closed a chapter in history, but opened 1,000 theories. Some traces never fade. They only grow more mysterious with time. Stay tuned, because the next case takes us to the jazz-filled streets of New Orleans, where a serial killer with an axe demanded a terrifying price for survival. Play jazz or face the blade. This is Terminal Trace.